Hi, everyone. Always delighted to be having a second conversation with creatives, and always delighted to be chatting here on Words, Images, and Worlds on this episode. I am speaking a second time with author, creator Adam Wallenta. Adam, thank you for joining.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. I will shout out what I said immediately when we jumped in the Zoom room, which is the popcorn bucket is epic. Very nicely done. Very nicely
Thank
done.
you, thank you. Yeah, I'm a Galactus fan, so I have the quite a collection up here.
Yeah, the comics accurate rendition, absolutely big fan of that as well. I'm glad we finally got to see that.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie a lot, so I don't have any
Yeah.
complaints.
Same here, same here. I know that we're going to be talking about Punk Taco. I know that we'll be probably mentioning some Mad Cave work as well. What's currently new? What's thriving and happening in your creative life?
Well, I think since the last time we spoke, I took the job at Mad Cave and Papercutz. I wasn't working there when we
Mhm.
last spoke, I don't think. Um,
I think you were just starting. I think
was I just
so. Yeah.
starting? Okay, yeah, it's been a while. So I've been promoted to senior editor, and I'm working on primarily Papercutz books. I have a couple of other projects. I have one project from the Mad Cave imprint, and then another project from the Maverick imprint. Neither have been announced yet, so I don't think I can. I don't think I can mention them. Um, but that's been a lot of fun, and I'm having a lot of fun in Papercutz. I work on a variety of licensed properties like Smurfs and Geronimo Stilton, Flash Gordon
Mhm.
Adventures. Um, and then I have a lot of great creator-owned projects like Three Thieves, Harrow Bear, a few projects from Franco. Chase Speedington just came out. That's been a lot of fun. And then one of the reasons they brought me into the company originally is because of my experience as an educator. And they wanted to dive into the education market and create educational graphic novels. So I created the Secret Steam Society, um, which is a really fun series. Every graphic novel features a different subject matter. So far we've sent a book on horses to print. We have the next one is music, um, and we have Trevor Mueller who's writing stories for us. We have Paul Kupperberg
Mhm.
is doing a spaceflight book. So it's been a lot of fun. I get to work with people who are newer to the industry, and I get to work with people I grew up reading. So being able to work with that a big variety of creatives is a lot of fun for me.
Cool, cool. Yeah. As you know, when I'm not in Zoom, I spend my day job doing teaching and education things. So just wonderful to have your work out there, and wonderful that the kids space for graphic novels is growing so well. There are so many educational opportunities there, and just the chance for kids to connect with fun books, I think is part of that magic too.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a it's not like when I was a kid. I mean, they didn't have kids comics really. It was you just read
Mhm.
Spider-Man, you read Captain America. That's, whatever Marvel and DC were putting out. And then, you know, I'm an 80s baby, so or I started reading heavily in the 80s. I'm actually a 70s baby. But, you know, uh, all of the black and white books and the stuff that I probably shouldn't have been reading, right? And most of that stuff was pretty
Mhm.
inappropriate for kids of that age. So, um, but we read it anyways. So
Oh
it was
yes.
just all
Oh
about
yes.
reading. So that's, you know, whatever it was, whether it was Ninja Turtles or radioactive hamsters or anything else, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, there was nothing like Dogman or the science
Mhm.
comics. There was nothing specifically made just for that age group. So kids really have a lot of options these days to start out at something that's age appropriate and then level up, as their reading develops. So
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely it's grown, and I think folks like you and I on different sides of parts of the process, like we see the value in comics and grew up reading them, and I attribute a lot of my reading to comics, and the fact that I'm an English teacher now and a literacy person, I think a lot of that stems back to comics.
Yeah, I mean everything was so verbose and big words were used and things that we didn't know. And if you didn't know the word, you had to run to the dictionary and figure it out.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's why even in Punk Taco, we've had criticism from some very few people. But they'll say, "Oh, there's a lot of words in this."
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that was completely intentional. I was reading to McCullough from a very early age, ElfQuest and Stan Lee Fantastic Four books and Roy Thomas collections. So he grew up with very wordy comics. I mean, he eventually found his
Hmm.
own path when he was reading on his own, and eventually from Elephant and Piggy to Dogman to everything else. And um, but what I was reading to him were things that I grew up with. So when we created Punk Taco, it was just kind of I'm just a talkative person. So you know there's a lot of words in it, which other people say they love it for that reason, because
Oh,
it's not like a book that you could read in 5 minutes and then put away and you never see it again. It's like we wanted kids to not know every word on purpose, right? Because we wanted them to come back to it and reread and to learn, just like I did when I was a kid. So that
yes,
was
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate, the words, the concepts in comics, and I was going to ask about what's been evolving in Punk Taco because this is a world that you've been creating in for a while. So what is new and happening there as well?
Right. So the first two Punk Taco books were self-published, as you know, and now Papercutz
Hmm.
has picked up the series. We've kind of rebranded it just slightly, and the new book is called Punk Taco Adventures. And the first volume includes the two stories that are in the original book, but then we've also have two new stories that are in the book. So it's twice the size as the original. It's got more content. McCullough and I, as well as his younger brother Kayla, contributed. Wrote the stories together. And then one of the stories, we actually brought in a whole bunch of creators. So it was something that we'd never done before, because usually, we work on the artwork. Um, but the concept of the story is it's kind of like an art history lesson, but using comics. So Punk Taco and Bash are at a museum, and it starts off with them kind of looking at modern art. And like many of us who've gone to a museum, everybody has their thing that they like. And sometimes there are things that we understand and that click with us. And then sometimes there's things that we're like, I don't get it. Or, people often say, I can do better, right? It's
Hmm.
pretty popular for some people who don't really appreciate art say that. Um, and so Bash says something along those lines, and then Punk Taco proceeds to, you know, tell him about art. And when you flip the page, every page is a different artist. So we have
Oh, I love
contributions
it.
from, people like Franco and Art and Franco and Scott Chandler. Um, uh, who else? A good friend, Chuck D from Public Enemy, actually contributed artwork to the book.
Nice.
We have a very famous graffiti artist, DJ JS1. He contributed artwork. Um, Lots of people, Don Griffin. So I don't want to ruin too many surprises, but to me, it was a really fun piece to write with the boys and to kind of talk about everybody's art style and to really share my love for all art. So um, that was a really special piece to work on. And then the boys have another backup story that they helped create. And then there's some extra bonus material. So it was a lot of fun. So it's really, for the people that don't have it, it's all new. Or it will be all new to them. And then for the people that have the original, I think it's still, it's going to be a really great surprise for them to read the new stuff and enjoy it in a different format. And for the first time, we have trade paperbacks, which is it's weird because usually people want hardcover. We've always done hardcover, so it's like, oh, now I have a trade paperback, and that's pretty cool too. So from there, we're gonna do volume two, which will also
Mhm.
collect the second book with new material, and then after that, it'll be all new material. Because I've been working on volume three for quite some time now. It's a much bigger story, And I believe we're going to break that up into its own two volumes. So what would have been volume three if I self-published it will actually be volume three and volume four, um, because it was like double the size of volume two, which was already double the size of volume one. So it's a lot of punk taco
Cool.
coming. I'm really looking forward to sharing it with everybody and just getting it out to a bigger audience and hopefully inspiring other kids to write their own stories and even older people to write their stories because, oftentimes we focus just on the kids, telling them that, you're never too young to tell your story. And I always try to remind the adults that you're never too old as well. So um, we just want to
Yeah.
inspire other people to tell their stories and be creative as much as possible. And also with Punk Taco, we created a whole educational guide. So every story has its own separate lesson plan, and it comes packaged and it's free to download for teachers. So anyone that, if they want to use the book in a class, they could pick just one of the stories. There's like social emotional learning lessons, there's art history lessons, and then there's even a lesson on poop.
You're talking about Dogman that totally flows. That's part of the
Yeah.
fun of it, and love that you're keeping educators in mind with those guides. And I
Yeah, a
love that
lot for
it's
Papercutz,
kind
we're
of
doing
a
that with a lot of our books. So even um, for anybody that goes to the link on Papercutz, we have the materials link, and we have lesson guides for Three Thieves. We have lesson guides for a variety of our projects, and all the Secret Steam Society books will have them as well. So we want people to not just like buy them and read them, but use them in the classroom. That's really important to us. So that's why we want to create this free resource for all of our teacher friends, librarian friends, or even people that are just at home and they want to, like, if parents want to find a way to talk to their kids about the comics that they're reading, because a lot of times if there's some kind of disconnect, parents they don't know what their kids are reading and
Mhm.
value in it. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that they can get something from comics, and learn from them. So
Yes, very well said. Absolutely. And I love that it started as kind of this family creative venture, and now you're reaching out. And I noticed that in the latest ad I saw for the book, there are other creative names. The family is reaching out to this wider creative family too. So very cool.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was it was partly I wanted to see Punk Taco interpreted by other artists, and then partly because I
Mhm.
didn't have time to do it all myself. So I was like, oh, I got to
Win-win.
call on some friends. And I got to tell you, when you see someone else draw your characters like that, it's pretty amazing. But then it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like, when Mike Cavallaro, sends me his Punk Taco illustration. I don't know if you know Mike, but his I'm a
Mhm.
huge fan of his work, his Nico Bravo books, and everything he does. And I'm like, oh, that's how you're supposed to draw Punk Taco. Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
interprets things in their own way, and it's amazing as someone who helped co-create it, and then my son drawing it and drawing it with him, and then seeing these professionals and people I admire and friends and everything. We've been very fortunate, and I feel very lucky to be around so much creativity.
Yeah, yeah. And being around creativity and wondering what it's been like to step into this wider role of working with Mad Cave, and other projects. You were talking about being part of Papercutz and Maverick. And I've loved what Mad Cave has been doing since it caught my eye, and love that they've expanded into those markets as well. There's wonderful variety of books being published by them right now. So, just curious what it's like to put on the editor's hat and kind of work creatively that way.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the entire process, whether it's a project like Secret Steam Society, where I created the characters and kind of developed it, and then I handed off to other writers and artists to bring it to life. That's a lot of fun for me because um, I get to still be really creative. But then other times when I find a new artist, a new author, and I get to ask them to come into the company and pitch me something, and they'll send me three, four, five ideas, and I get to, based on what I know about where the company is going and what we need, I get to kind of like guide them in the right direction and then see them work their magic. I love working with established creators that have been around a long time and maybe they want to do something different. So being able to provide them an opportunity to, come into the kids market, or the educational market and do different things. Um, I really, I've had a lot of opportunities provided to me over the years by people that didn't have to. I've always worked hard and tried to put myself in a position. And, if there were no opportunities, I made them for myself, like Punk Taco. But I've had a lot of doors also shut in my face. Punk Taco was rejected by numerous companies. We were rejected by every agent. We were even rejected by Diamond originally. It wasn't until after we won the Ringo Award and they were like, oh, okay, we'll distribute it. So
Mhm.
I love working with, you know, independent creators and being able to say, hey, this door is open for you, right? Because I know what it's like to have the door constantly shut, or just, maybe I wasn't ready, or maybe the book wasn't ready, or whatever the reason was, but that door is just sometimes very hard to get into. So
Yeah.
being able to push it open for people and say, come on in, or at least let them have a look in and see what they could, make happen on their own, because you can only hold people's hands so much. They have to do the heavy lifting as far as being creative and doing the hard work. But being able to provide those opportunities, that's the best part of for me as an editor. And then watching them do their thing, and then providing them with some guidance based on my 30 years of experience. Hopefully they take it if they need it, and if they, I'm a pretty laid back editor. I try to, also being a creative person, an author and illustrator, I don't want to be heavy handed. I'm not trying
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
I'm not trying to take over anybody's project ever. I want them to love what they do, and I'm just there to kind of like, you know, be an extra ear, extra eyes, and if I feel like they need some guidance, I'll give them opinions. But I always tell my creators, you're more than welcome to argue with me, right? If you believe in it, because I could be wrong, right? Like I have lots of experience, but I don't know everything. I don't,
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
knows everything. So I may say, hey, what about going in this direction? And sometimes they agree. And then sometimes they'll say, hey, I really believe in this. And then I have to say, all right, like I trust you. That's why I brought you into the company, or, helped get your book, greenlit or whatever. So
Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
that whole process. I like the back and forth with the creators, and it's a lot of fun. We've got tons of projects. Mad Cave is growing uh, a lot, especially over the past year or two. And Papercutz is right there with the company. And we have Maverick and Nakama now is our manga line. So we have a great editorial crew. We have a great marketing team and design team. And everybody at the company really loves what they do. I mean, they're all comic book people. They really love making comics. They care about the creators. Um, I wouldn't have stepped into this role if I thought like, oh, we're going to treat creators poorly.
Mhm.
Being
Mhm.
a creator first, that was part of my thing. Like, I want to make sure that we have good deals for our creators. We treat them fairly. So it's a great company. And I hope we continue to do right by everybody. And I think, everyone's going to be really happy with the products we put out. The whole team puts a lot of endless hours and heart and soul into everything they do. So it's great to be a part of such an amazing team.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I appreciate that creator-centered approach, and very smart also to expand into manga too, by the way. I
Yeah,
love that idea.
yeah, it's going really well from what I can tell. I didn't grow up, or I wasn't a huge manga reader. I got into manga with my kids. My son
Hmm.
loves
Hmm.
Dragon Ball, and he introduced me to all these other things. When I was younger, I mean, I guess it was the 80s, I bought the original, or I get the Marvel Akira books that had come out. Um, but I don't think I ever read them. We only read it recently. I read it with McKenna recently. I got the giant box set, and so we read that together. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the books that we put out, and
Yeah,
and I hope everybody enjoys them. They look beautiful from what I've seen.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't get to
yeah.
read everybody's book, and we've been putting out so much material. I haven't read everything, but from everything that I could see, um, the artwork is beautiful. So,
Cool, cool. Before we tell people where to find things, what's next, and all of those kind of things, is there any question, any part of the conversation that I've missed that you want to make sure to include?
um, no, I think I would just like to say to everybody, thank you for supporting everything that Mad Cave does, everything that Papercutz does, Maverick, the whole crew. Um, we really are a creator focused company, but we also care about the fans. You know, we want to put out great product for everybody. The world is a crazy place, and sometimes, comics may seem insignificant, but we want to give people something that they can escape to and feel good about and be entertained by. Hopefully, some of our books make you think, make you laugh, make you cry, and make you feel good. You know, all that stuff. So, like I said, the team really pours their hearts and souls into everything they do, and I just want to thank the anyone that's listening, watching. You know, we really appreciate all that support. We're going to keep trying to put out the best product possible. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. If I'm a listener and I want to find out more, where might I go to do that? And I know you have a couple of projects that can't be mentioned yet, which is always exciting. But anything you'd like to say about what's next is, of course, more than welcome.
Yeah, next month we have a brand new book from Franco coming out called Ninja Kaiju. It's great for kids. It's about a ninja that turns into a giant kaiju. So it's wacky, but it's a lot of fun. It's got beautiful artwork. Uh, Pum Taco drops on January 27th, so that's a big thing for me. Um, Having that come out, we have new Hero Bear projects coming out, new Hero Bear books. We are working on a new Flash Gordon Adventures book that's coming out. The Secret Steam Society books. I hope everyone will check those out. Yeah, there's so much. Go to papercutz.com, go to madcave.com. They have all the links there. For all the people that haven't heard of our books, please check them out, give them a chance. One thing I will say to people out there that read comics, I'll always try to support your local comic book store, your independent bookstores, but I also understand that not everybody has money for everything. And if you really want to support great books, if go to your library. Go to your library, and if there's something that you want to read, ask them to get it because most likely the librarians, they want to know what you want to read. They will get it for you. And then, you don't have to spend all of your your hard-earned money, which, it's probably bad to say for the company, but I also understand not everybody can buy everything, right? But if you want to read it, please support your local library as well and ask them to get the books. Um, Ask them about Papercutz books if you like all ages stuff, or if you have young readers. Ask for the Mad Cave stuff if you're into some horror, sci-fi, or adventure. We have something for everybody, and we really appreciate when people go to their libraries and actually mention the company name and the imprints and ask for our books. Because really, libraries are all about community, and they're there to help you read great books. So but also they don't know everything, right? So it's
Mhm.
good to request books and let them know what you're looking for. So I always love going into libraries and seeing my book on the shelf, or even better, knowing that my book is there and it's not on the shelf, right? Like someone checked it out. Right.
Mhm,
That's,
mhm.
I always love that. So that's a great way to support any creator, whether you know the artist or the writer, and you want to, or even, buy a book for your local teacher for their classroom, donate. Those are always great ways to support.
speaking as an educator and someone who's been a librarian, I appreciate that very, very much. Adam, I'm always glad to talk with you, always glad to amplify your work and the work that Mad Cave is doing and Papercutz and Maverick, and
Thank you so much.
certainly glad to have you back. Absolutely glad to have you back
Anytime,
anytime.
anytime. I love chatting with you, and I appreciate everybody that listens and checks us out.